attention, please. Wherever you are in your studies at this moment, just set them aside. There's something I'd like to share with you that is of rather significant importance, especially to the history of our country. Your studies will still be here when you get back the next time we're in class. There's an anniversary upcoming that's quite important in the history of our country. And I think you've heard of it. Would anybody care to guess what that anniversary might? Yes. 4th of July, Independence Day. While that is of critical importance to our nation's history, it's not the one I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of happened before July of 1776. Anybody? Yes. Boston Tea Party. No, Boston Tea Party was December. So that just pushes it further down the calendar. Would you like a hint? You would. All right. Listen closely. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Yes, several of you. Very good. Paul Revere made his famous ride 75 years ago tonight, 18th of April, 1775. There were others who rode that night that don't get quite the recognition that they deserve. William Dawes was one. Dr. Samuel Prescott was another. But in the poem about the ride, the only person that's mentioned by name is Paul Revere. But there were others. Now, they were not out gallivanting across the countryside on horseback in the darkness just for their health. They were warning their fellow Americans that a great evil was coming their way. And their warning allowed the Americans to arm themselves and prepare to meet this foe. And this foe was in the form of an armed band that was coming to impose the will in the form of a king against his own people. And when I say people, I mean subjects. He was a king. Kings don't have people, they have subjects. Now, during his reign over all of us, there were a number of offenses that he committed, and several of them wound up being embodied in our own Declaration of Independence. Let me share just some with you. There are others. He has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts and pretended legislation, for transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. That's what happened. Now, on the heels of this anniversary was another anniversary. Do I dare ask if anyone knows what that one is? The anniversaries are only one day apart. No? All right. Well, tomorrow, April the 19th, 1775, which is 75 years ago tomorrow, there occurred the twin battles of Lexington and Concord, where, you may have heard this, the shot heard round the world was fired. Now, this started the American Revolution, of course, but why? Who's responsible for this? What caused the revolution in the first place? It was caused by a monster in the form of a king who cared not a whit for the happiness and welfare of his people, who were in his eyes subjects. He is a king after all. During his reign as king, he committed a number of offenses, many of which wound up being embodied in our own Declaration of Independence. If you'll allow me, I'll read you just a few. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts and pretended legislation. For transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. And there were others. This is only a few. I will share with you a little something from Thomas Paine, who wrote the book Common Sense. He wrote of kings, "The king is not to be trusted without being looked after," or, in other words, that a thirst for absolute power is the natural disease of monarchy. Governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed. Now here in America, we don't have kings. We know better. We elect our own to represent us. I think I've said enough about what's going to happen, anniversaries. Go home class, and around your supper table tonight, tell your own families what you have learned here today. And remember it. Remember it well. Thank you. And there they go. And hello, friends. It's a pleasure to see you again. On that Lexington Green 250 years ago tomorrow, Americans stood against all odds to fight for liberty. 8 made the ultimate sacrifice. Their names should never be forgotten, and they were John Brown, Samuel Hadley, Caleb Harrington and Jonathan Harrington, Robert Monroe, Isaac Muzzy, Asahel Porter, and Jonas Parker. They're the ones who paid the ultimate price for eventually our own liberty. Theirs was not the only blood shed that day. In a running battle between Lexington and Concord, Americans suffered about 100 casualties, 49 of which were killed. Josiah Haynes was the oldest one who gave up his life in defense of liberty. He was 80. The youngest was Edward Barber. He was a mere 14. He also gave his life for our liberty. Amongst the wounded of note was in Lexington was one person by the name of Prince Easterbrook. He was wounded, took a shot in one of his shoulders. He's worth mentioning because of all things, he was black. Now, in addition to some passages from Common Sense written by Thomas Paine, I want to read to you from something else he wrote called The American Crisis. You may have heard this before. It's worth hearing again. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of men and women. Tyranny like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the heart of the conflict is more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness alone that gives the value. Folks, these anniversaries are going to start a long, long parade of commemorations, events regarding the ultimate independence of this nation against the tyranny of a king. Please remember that all those who fought for all those years died of battle, died of disease, just died. All of them who fought that day and every day until liberty was secured, remember this: they fought for you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. I hope I've made an impression upon you. And until our paths cross again, in the woods, in the hills, or right here in the school, I have the honor to remain your most respectful and obedient servant, Dave Diggs, coming to you from a long time ago. Thanks very much for coming. I hope to see you soon. Goodbye now.